Aloha, it's Kim Jolene with Finding Your Fiji, and I'm here today doing your Feng Shui Friday quick tip. So today's tip is coming to you as a result of a question that I received in my private Facebook group. And if you haven't joined that yet, it is free. It's called Find Your Flow with Feng Shui and Angels. There's a link to that below. You can hop on over there to join. Make sure that you answer the questions because I don't admit you unless you answer the questions. So please go ahead and do that, and then I will admit you to the group. But this question comes from one of my group members there. And her question centers around two different schools of thought related to feng shui and the bed facing direction. So, when I typically talk about feng shui for the bedroom and where your bed should be located, I talk about putting the bed in the command position, which is something that we talked about last week about the command positions. And the command position is typically the farthest away from the door, where you have a visual of the door when you're in your bed, right? So when you're laying in your bed, you have a visual of the door, and you're not in the doorway, right? Whether you don't want the door in front of your bed or on the side of the bed, ideally, right? And so her question is, so that's one school of thought. The other school of thought, and these are, I think of them more as layers, right? There's lots of different layers and lots of different schools of feng shui, and I'm trained in multiples of these, right? And so the compass version of feng shui, and in particular the eight mansions, looks at which directions are positive for you and challenging for you. So we call this Ming Gua, or sometimes you might hear it referred to as Qua or just Gua. And so the Ming Gua, each person has their own number, right? Based on when you were born. And I'm going to go into this in a lot more detail next week when I talk about Ming Gua. I'm going to share a lot more about what that's all about. So that's going to be my video for next week. But for today, there can be a conflict, right? So if you place your bed in a direction that is in command of the space, right, where you can see the door, you're not in the doorway, sometimes that's not a positive direction for you. And the way that I was trained and my belief around this, and there are definitely going to be different opinions about this, but I'm sharing with you my opinion about this and the way that I was trained, is that we always want to put the bed in command position first because we can remedy for a challenging position. So if you're facing a challenging direction, when you're laying in your bed, but you're in command, we can actually do a cure, place an element item there, depending on which challenging direction it is. We can place an element cure there to remedy the challenging direction while still allowing you to be in command of the space. So that's the answer that I have, and I'm going to share that obviously in my Facebook group, and you guys are seeing this here on YouTube. Stay tuned next week when I will be talking about Ming Gua in more depth. I think it's very, very confusing for a lot of people. Like, what do the different challenging directions mean? They have some scary names, right? Like 6 killings and 5 ghosts and all of that. So I'm going to talk about that next week. So stay tuned there. If you're new to me, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and make sure that you hit the bell so that you get notified when I post new videos. And I've got a lot more feng shui videos up in the corner over here. So click on that. I also would love for you to join my Patreon to help support this work that I do in the world. And there is a link to find out more about all the juicy things that the patrons get that my regular folks don't. So go ahead and check out the link there in that corner. So much love and aloha.